Hey, good evening, you guys. This is Susan, and I do want to talk a little bit about invasion. What happened in the Capitol the other day was horrible, an embarrassment to our country, but it did happen. And I think that for those who were supporting President Trump, it was very hurtful because this particular group that went in and damaged the property without caring about the consequences, that's just what they chose to do, disregarding all of the other supporters. And I don't think it's fair to label these people Trump supporters, because if I'm supporting somebody or if I'm supporting a cause, I'm not going to jeopardize the cause. That's what I have to say about that. If somebody asked me, please come and support me, I'm gonna be, cheering. I need you to come and support me. Um, there's gonna be a competition, and let's say the person or the team I'm going to support does not win, I would not want to, as a supporter, go in there and embarrass her in front of everybody. I wouldn't do that. So, or them, or the team, or so. With that being said, I think that we're quick to start putting these things together, like, oh, he instigated that. I don't think President Trump instigated. I think that people need to be accountable for their own actions. The president, I don't think that, with as much as he knows about national security and social media, and we all know he likes being transparent with his thoughts and all of that, but I don't think that there's going to be anybody finding anything about President Trump instigating under the table instigation to do that to the Capitol. I really don't think so, because he knows he knows the danger in that. He knows everybody's watching. He knows that everything that we say on our phones and everything we do on our computers, now more than ever with this COVID, everybody's under the scope. So I believe President Trump is an intelligent man. I mean, he's a builder, he's an economist. Just because these people got into the Capitol along with the crowd, the Trump supporters, that just gives everybody a bad name. I don't think that these people were Trump supporters, because had they been Trump supporters, genuine Trump supporters, they would have behaved. Had they been genuine Trump supporters, they would not have shown their faces on the camera. I think that this was something that was planned well ahead. And that's just my humble opinion. I think that President Trump, from the moment that he took on office, they made it impossible for him to do his job. Some of these reporters were right down disrespectful when they were interviewing him. They would be very, biased, and they would ask a question, and before the president could answer, they would ask another question, and before he could answer, they would ask another question, and then ridicule him. So I believe that this is why we have a lot of independent reporters now because they just got tired of the hypocrisy and selling out in the mainstream media. You know, it's like you want to keep your job for job security, so you read the script, you read the prompter, you do as you're told, you don't, you, or you just, you know, we don't like Trump, so it's okay for you to do whatever you want with his image. I'm not going to say that he was the best president, nor was he the worst. I believe that he was not given a fair chance to be the president. I think he was interrupted by all of these investigations. That is like a chronic disease. And these things will continue to happen. It's not just President Trump. They do that to each other. They do that to each other at local level. For example, in Mobile, Alabama, where I lived, we had these attorneys, you know, the higher ups, suing the city. And who do you think makes money? If they're suing the city and they're suing one another, guess who gets to keep the money? Guess who gets to pay for these people suing one another? If the city has to pay the attorneys or whomever's working for the mayor or was working for a former employee, if they're suing one another, that money has to come from the city. That means the city is poorer and poorer. The same thing with our government, our federal government. If our federal government continues to invest in these investigations and investigations that is like a chronic disease, like a cancer, that just sucks the life out of you, because you cannot focus on whatever it is that you need to do because you're under investigation. That sucks American taxpayers' money. It does, because the money to pay these people, quote unquote, investigating or quote unquote representing, which we have had a lot of false representation in court, where state employees who are supposed to be representing somebody are not representing the people. For example, the children in the foster care industry. This foster care industry is a chronic infestation, for a lack of a better term. It's like leeches sucking up taxpayers' money to screw the children, the future leaders. These kids don't get heard in court. They don't ever get to speak in court. These caseworkers are switched to and from. The kids are switched to and from, and the whole thing is just right down disorganization. I have seen people lie in front of everybody in the court. They're actors. They don't even get a slap in the hand. The whole thing is to keep the kids in the system to feed their guts. So people can say, well, you know, I'm goody two shoes and pointing fingers. I'm not here to tell you that I'm goody two shoes. No. I am not perfect by any means. Neither am I the Jesus Christ. Folks, we have to understand that we are the body of Christ Jesus. If you want to consider yourself part of the body of the Son of Man, the Son of God, then meet me at the cross of Christ. We are parts of the body, and He, the Son of Man, which is us, ourselves as individuals, we, the one in us, is greater. I've never liked guns. The only time I ever had a gun was when I was in military training. And I'm not against people owning their guns. I believe that this is against people's rights. People have the right to own a gun. I'm not against people owning a gun. I just personally don't like guns. I don't like to be involved in conversations where people are talking about guns, to use them for quote unquote self defense. I think that shooting a gun for keeping up your target, whatever you call that, your shooting skills, if you're in law enforcement, of course, you should have a gun. If you're, you're a homeowner and you've been raised with guns and you know how to properly store them. I believe that if somebody doesn't know how to clean a gun, they shouldn't own a gun. Because I believe that people who know how to use a gun properly aren't the ones who are going out there with a gun shooting crazy. People who hunters, think about the people that live in Alaska. That kind of lifestyle. There's a lot of people in America, who are country people who just like hunting and they just like their guns, and that's their God-given right. It's their God-given right. Our Constitution, it doesn't, it's our freedom. God is a God of freedom. But people choose what they choose to do with those guns or with their whatever. But I don't believe that those people that invaded the Capitol were Trump supporters. Because had they been genuine Trump supporters, they wouldn't have done that to him. Because they know, a Trump supporter would know that they could get the president in trouble. So I know that he had that speech saying we're going to march down, but he at any point did he say we're going to go through the walls and through the police officers. Another thing that I caught was that some of the police officers were posing with their people selfies. Had these been genuine Trump supporters, I do believe that these people would have been shot dead to protect the workers inside the Capitol, the government employees. So that's just my humble opinion. I'm not a reporter. I am not a preacher, but I am a witness and a messenger of what I have seen, what I have shared with you. And you can label me and you can laugh at me. I don't care. I'm very much anti-guns, but I'm not against people owning their guns. So, in Panama, when I lived in Panama, my whole life until I was 16, I shouldn't say my whole life, but until I was 16, almost 17 years old, my stepfather, who worked military intelligence, Army military intelligence, was not able to tell us about the invasion that happened in Panama. But something very similar happened, and this time it was like the opposite. It was like from the military to civilian. And they didn't just go and get Noriega out of the headquarters. They just invaded, the whole town of, a good portion of this town in Panama called Chorrillo, and ended up killing a lot of civilians. It was called Just Cause, and it killed a lot of civilians. But then, again, a few days prior to that, some of the Noriega people that were just really bad people went into the military base and ended up free shooting, and shot one of my Balboa High School teachers dead. and she was my classmate's mother. It was horrible, but my stepfather just was not able to tell us about the invasion, so he just said to my mom, go to the grocery store, to the commissary, and buy food. And my mom put it off until last minute. And but anyway, we ended up going and getting like $400 worth of food to get us through a couple of weeks through the holidays in 1990. Make a long story short, we had to take special precautions. We couldn't just drive to the other base where the commissary was. We had to be escorted and everything. The military police were the ones running the cash registers, and there were only like a few of them open, so only 10 people could go into the commissary at once. It was like a 2-hour line, and then my mom was in there, took her time because she had $400 worth of groceries to buy, and it took forever. We were the last ones to get back home. We had to ride on a school bus. But make a long story short, we weren't able to even look out the window for a few days because my stepfather said, that we could potentially be targets by just looking out the window or being close to the window. So I don't like guns for those reasons, because I believe that people who own guns and who know how to clean a gun, and who know the hunters, people who do it for for their rights, to own a gun, I believe that they're responsible with a gun. But I believe before anybody buys a gun, they should be able to prove that they can clean a gun, and that they've taken a course on how to use a gun properly, and to include, liability for, hey, put the fear in people, like you need to use it wisely, you need to store it wisely, But anyway, I know I'm beating around the bush, but I have had conversations, well, not that I initiated the conversation, but I've had people who were very much pro-guns looking at me like, like I'm, like I'm anti-gun, and I'm not anti-gun, but I don't like guns. I don't own a gun. I don't feel that I need a gun for self-defense. When it's your time to go, it's your time to go. I believe that we should just live every day as if it were our last. Say your piece, and you never know. But if somebody has a gun pointed at me, what am I going to gain by pointing a gun right back at them? To me, I would die even more painfully. So to me, when I go out in my car before I go to the shopping, I think about these things like, I could be in a car accident today. I may not come home today. Why do I think this? Because people are involved in car accidents all the time. And it could be anything else. It could be a heart attack. It could be a stroke. So we just need to understand that these guns, it's just not worth it. Keep your gun to yourself. If you're a hunter or you go shooting, with your guns to keep up your skills. If you're, of course, police officers, but most of the time when you see a crime with a gun is just independent from the police. Most of the time you see it when it's, I can't say that it always has been that way, but I do believe that those people that invaded the Capitol were not Trump supporters. I believe that they just went in there to cause trouble. And had they been Trump supporters, I do believe that they would have been shot dead. I believe similar to what happened in during the invasion just cause, the military went in there to get Noriega, but they did it in a way that they ended up killing many other civilians while they were at it. To me, if you're gonna go after this, dictator, just go do it. Just don't jeopardize the civilians. Like with these wars we've had in the past, people, these civilians being killed because of what, you want to test a bomb, or you want to, kill a dictator, you kill other people while you're at it. It's like, that's not the way that we need to be, doing things. And it did happen. And then on top of that, what happened is people started taking advantage of the fact that there was so much chaos in Panama at that time, that these looters looted these stores. Like all kinds of merchandise was stolen from the, jewelry and department stores, and just people just went crazy, because you'll have the average folk who wants to take advantage of the disruption. It's kind of like if the ambulance is getting the right of way, right? The ambulance is going, or the police officer, and then you go follow after the ambulance, to get the right of way too, to get ahead. And I think that when there's a police officer coming, or an ambulance fire truck, by all means, get out of the way. Get out of the way like yesterday, and don't take advantage of that situation to just go, just make sure everybody is where they were supposed to be, and then everything with order and peace. I feel bad for President Trump, because now, this is not the way that his presidency was supposed to end. But I want you to think about it. If you were invited to a party and for support, would you go in there and cause ruckus and be all disruptive if you're a genuine supporter of that person? No, you're not going to do that. So I don't believe that these people were Trump supporters. I believe that they were Republicans, but had they been genuine Trump supporters, they would not have wanted to risk the president's reputation even more than it already was. Because these past 4 years has been chaotic. And I don't believe that it's the president. It's just people need to take responsibility for their own. It's like, I've been involved in conversations, not by me willingly, but people asking me questions, and if I give them my honest answer about, no, I don't like guns, some people get defensive, and they'll go on about why they believe their rights about owning guns. And it's like, that's fine, my friend, you can own a gun. I'm not telling you can't own a gun. Of course you have the right to own a gun, but I just don't like guns. And so they want to get into a debate about that, and I just had to, for my own safety, I had to, not that I was scared of that person or those people, but I just don't feel comfortable being engaged in those kind of conversations, because anybody can take anything out of context. If you are in any way involved in a conversation that's potentially, risky or dangerous, then you're counted as guilty. And it's like, or the same thing, I don't care if anybody wants to do marijuana in their homes or do marijuana. Hey, that has the benefits to marijuana. If people want to do that, that's fine. But I don't like marijuana. So I don't feel uncomfortable if somebody wants to do their marijuana or whatever, but I don't want to be in that vicinity. And I've been in situations where I was introduced to this FBI agent at one gathering, and then I was on a boat with people that were doing their marijuana, and I wasn't doing it, but this FBI agent saw that I got on the boat, and I didn't know what these people were going to do. I didn't know these people were going to be smoking marijuana, but I didn't smoke marijuana because I don't like marijuana. And so I was just like, well, that's fine. People can do whatever. They're off the premises. It's the freedom. But the fact that I was introduced to this FBI agent, to me, that was just like, why? Why was I introduced, and why the FBI agent left, and then I was left behind, and people were doing, that's fine. People want to do marijuana. I mean, to me, that's their right. But I don't like to be engaged in those kind of situations, because then that compromises me. I mean, I'll go dancing. I drink. I don't like to drink to get drunk, but I have my limitations. I went drinking a couple of times, and I couldn't handle more than 2, and I ended up vomiting. That's my father's way of saying, just don't do that. Just don't have more than maybe 1. That's my father's way of saying. I mean, I used to smoke, not all day, but just occasionally, and my father just put it in me, like, I'm disgusted by it, by the smell, by the scent, by the smoke, and by the everything. To me, it's disgusting. But that's God's way of saying, just don't do that. Just don't do it. So I do believe that people have the right to evolve and change, and we as a humanity, as an American people, we are capable of just learning from all of this that we've been doing these past few years. It's like, if you own a gun and you're proud of it, or that's your right, by all means own a gun, but don't use it to go out there and because that hurts the people who own guns and are pro guns, is what I'm saying. It hurts the cause. So I don't believe in invasion without considering the victims of the invasion. Just like I feel my house was invaded, and I was not putting on a pony show on Horseshoe Bend. I was not. I never signed up for any kind of a political show or entertainment, or was I selling anything out of my house. The only time I ever sold anything was some furniture when I was in the process of moving through Craigslist. So, I have nothing to fear, nothing to hide. But invasion of people's homes without just cause, invasion of the Capitol, all of that is just un-American people. So, I just hope that that the President Trump and his staff can move on with dignity, because I honestly don't believe that he is should be held accountable for what these individuals did, because had they been genuinely supporting the president, they wouldn't have embarrassed him like that. That's all I have to say, America. May God bless us all. Thank you.